Why some people don't understand anything in English? That's what I'm gonna talk about in this video. Coming up. Hey friends, Teacher Prix here to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited you're here. And if it's your first time here, hey, consider subscribing. From Monday to Friday, I post English lessons, all kinds of lessons, grammar, vocabulary, differences, mistakes, listening tips, reading tips to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. So here we go, my friends. Today, I'm going to talk about a very important subject. Why some people don't understand anything in English. They listen, and they don't understand anything at all. Does this happen to you? Let me know here in the comments. And if you enjoyed this kind of video, if you want more lessons like this, make sure to hit the like button because that way I understand what kind of lessons you want to see more here in my channel. Now, the first reason why some people don't understand anything in English is because they focus too much on understanding every word, okay? Yes, my friend, this happens to many English learners, especially basic ones. They don't know how to listen. And what does that mean? Well, they try really hard to understand every word that's being said. Consequently, they get the opposite result. They don't understand anything because they were working so hard to understand every single word that they got lost. And if you try to do this in English or with any other language, you are going to get the same problem. It's interesting because my sister was my student, many years ago. She was one of my first English students, and during the classes, she had this problem. And as I started talking to her and explaining that she didn't need to focus on everything, but getting the main ideas, she started to relax. She started to stop working so hard to understand all the words, and consequently, her listening skills began to improve, and she was not feeling like she couldn't understand anymore. She was understanding. She could understand. Okay, so this is one big problem English learners have, because when you focus too much on understanding every single word, what happens? You may understand one word. Then you get so happy that you understood one word that you stop paying attention to the next words. And then that individual word alone will not help you get anything, okay? So be careful with that. If you feel that you don't understand anything in English, maybe it's time to understand that you don't need to understand everything, but the most important ideas, the context, okay? The second reason why some people don't understand anything in English is because they focus on understanding what they know, what they believe they know. Sometimes you get so excited because you understood one single word that you miss everything else, or maybe even a phrase. We get so excited that we understood a phrase and we start to ignore the rest of the information that we are listening to. Consequently, after the audio is over or after the person stops speaking and we don't understand, what do we conclude? That's me, I'm the problem, I can't understand anything in English. But that's not true. The problem is with your focus. If you focus too much on the words you know, you are not going to be able to put them together and really understand the message of the audio you are listening to or understand the native speaker you are listening to, okay? Many English learners don't understand anything because they know very little structure. And because of that, they can't make out, they can't understand spoken sentences. Okay, now this is a combination of the second problem of focusing on words you know, and the lack of structure. And here, I'm sorry guys, maybe you think that grammar is not important, but when you don't understand anything or when you just understand the words, this is a sign that you need a little bit more structure. And one problem that happens here is when you only focus on random words, only individual words, this practice will induce you to translation, not interpretation, because you will listen to a word and you will focus on translating that word. And that's dangerous because you are not focusing on the whole picture. You are focusing your attention and energy on understanding individual words, and they may not help you at all to understand the audio or the native speaker. That's why a little bit of grammar study is necessary to help you recognize patterns in audio materials and in conversations. Because then, if you study a little bit of grammar, when you begin to do exercises, audio exercises, watch videos, watch a TV series, talk to native speakers, you will not focus so much on individual words. You will begin to focus on the main ideas. And that will induce you to interpretation, not translation anymore. Okay, as I always say, translation is not good. I'm not totally against translation. It depends on the context, it depends on the situation. But when you study a little bit of structure and combine it with different activities, it's not just grammar. Come on, I don't like that either. But when you combine it with different activities, you open your mind and you begin to focus on interpretation. Okay? So, examples of structures that you need to be really good at, that you really need to master: past, present, future, types of words, how to put them together. These are important grammar lessons that you need to always review and study, because in conversations and audios, it'll be easier for you to recognize the patterns so that you can interpret the audio and not really understand word by word. Because if you think about it, if you don't have a little grammar, when you may understand all the words, but if you translate them individually, there's a very good chance that you will get a very crazy phrase. You may not always get the correct translation. Use Google Translator, for example. It's a good translator, yes, it is, but it translates many things incorrectly. So here, you need to know a little bit of structure. It is important. If you see teachers telling you that it's not important, honestly, based on my experience, based on research, based on studies, it is, okay? But of course, it's not the center of the universe. It's not the most important thing, but it's one important aspect of the language that will influence your English comprehension, okay? Teacher, what do I do? Any suggestions? Please help me. Well, first, you need to understand that our brain cannot pay attention 100% of the time. Why do you think I'm always moving around, using my hands, making voices here, changing my voice a little bit to get your attention? Because if I speak like this at a normal voice tone, at a normal pace, it will be boring. You will lose focus and you will stop paying attention. So I keep changing, I move so that I can catch your brain's attention. So relax. We cannot pay attention 100% of the time, which means in conversations, in audios, in movies, in TV series, you will not understand everything because you are not paying attention 100% of the time. That's why repetition is so important, because when you repeat the audio, when you watch the video again, or when you ask someone to repeat an explanation, you are able to give your brain another chance to refocus and get more information. In the real world, this is more difficult. Why is this an important practice when you are studying and trying to improve your comprehension? This practice will prepare you for the real world where you don't get second chances, okay? So if you want to do better in the real world, you need to start practicing here in study time. When you sit down to study, you need to practice repetition. I have a personal example. I have watched Friends a million times, the 10 seasons, like a million times. And every time I watch the show, I learn something new. Why? Well, because I don't always pay attention. It's impossible. Sometimes I'm watching an episode while doing the dishes, while having lunch, while chatting with my friends. So I'm not really focusing on the show. So repetition is very important. Excellent, my friends. I have a question for you. Do you have listening problems? Why do you think that happens? Let me know here in the comments because maybe your problems, your limitations, your questions can become videos here on the channel so that I can give you some feedback, some ideas of how you can improve. Thank you so much, my friends, and I will see you next time. Bye!